Today I'm going to do a death contemplation, and tomorrow again, but a different one. You can also make up your own based on is to contemplate death in all its facets. Death is, of course, part of life. Life would be very horrendous if nobody would ever die. I started doing death contemplations for a group when after my mother died. And I'll tell you the story of that. For about a week, my mother knew she was dying, and out of the life support system. And that week I spent with her most of the time. I slept in the same room in the hospital. And we had some really beautiful talks. It was a very beautiful time, a very special time for both of us. In the night she died, it was midnight, on the 1st of September. I suddenly woke up. I didn't know why I was waking up, because normally I would sleep right through the night. But I just knew it was time. So I sat there holding her hand, and I chanted the Sutta. She wasn't like a Buddhist or anything, but it just felt appropriate. So after she had passed away, I called my dad, and he came over. And of course, then you get the whole circus of paperwork, organization, and eventually that afternoon they brought my mother home, put her up in the basement. And there's a nice room there. It was reasonably cool, so there was a heat wave, so it was better that it was in the basement. And so for about 5 days she was there. It was normally my room where I would sleep, but I couldn't sleep there now because the cooling system made so much noise. But I sat there quite a lot just to contemplate with her body. And even though they put a lot of makeup on here, and so it looks like people are asleep, so you don't really see the process happening. But it was just lovely to sit there and hold her hand and contemplate. And this was once the person out of whose womb I grew, and now she was gone, and this was just the body. So I did the first guided meditation a year later, exactly a year later, with my mother's ashes by my side. And one of the things that I contemplated is going back to when I was a student and I studied geology. And one of the first assignments we did was not so far from here, in a small village about maybe, I think, 30 kilometers north from here, called. And the river cuts through there. And what you have there is this rock face of chalk stone. And it used to be a little bit like the Great Barrier Reef, this great reef with lots of animals, etc. And that all died. For millions of years, that reef was there on the bottom of the sea. And so for millions of years, little creatures died and left their skeleton at the bottom. And over many millions of years it compacted, and through a lot of changes in the Earth's crust, it's now 500 meters above sea level, and this river cuts through it. And this whole rock face is absolutely huge, and it's all skeletons. And this river cuts through it and takes little bits with it, and the wind takes bits of it, and it comes in the water. And the water is something that we drink again. We drink the calcium in water, it becomes part of our skeletons. The milk that the cows produce doesn't come from somewhere. That calcium is already in the soil, it's in the plants, in the grass, and they eat that, and they turn it into milk. And then we drink that again and again. That becomes part of our body. It's all, our skeleton is built up of all these skeletons that have of other creatures. And maybe also other humans. And that's just part of life. And we can also be grateful to all these creatures that have contributed to our skeleton. And when we die, our skeleton will become part of nature again. So this is the guided meditation, or a little bit of the introduction to the guided meditation I wish to do with you today. So close your eyes. And just start again by just sitting comfortably, just checking if your body is comfortable. And bring your attention to your feet. Just imagine all the bones in your feet. Lots of them. See if you can really visualize all those little bones. Thanks to those bones you can walk. All the little bones in your toes. your heel, ankle, with the foot bones. Maybe they all work together to make you walk. And moving your attention up to your lower leg, the bones there. Can you visualize them? Are they lying there in the cushion? Are you sitting in the chair? And go down to your knees. And you sit the tailbone. And your legs, the little bones in your legs. And then it's up to your hip. The bones there. Can you feel that in your body? Can you visualize the color, the hardness of your bones, the deep stability? Going up along your spine, or your tailbone, all the way up, all the little bones being connected together. Your intricate system of bones that make up your back, and give stability to your back. You visualize that you're sitting there, and your skeleton is sitting inside of you, giving you support. You come to the shoulder bones, the shoulder blades. What does that look like? How do you experience that? How does it feel like? Arms, all the way down to your hands, those in your upper arm, your elbows, the lower arm, all those in your hands, your fingers. Again, so many of them, so many small bones. And you visualize them, their color, their texture, their form. Going up on your neck to your skull. What does your skull feel like? What does it look like? Eye sockets. You're looking out from the upper jaw, the lower jaw. Just investigate. When you're ready, you see, imagine your whole skeleton. From your skull to your toes, just sitting there on your cushion or on your chair. This amazing skeleton that gives you stability. Now, visualize that same skeleton as it's lying on the ground before you. You're just watching it. Every part of it. The skull, all the way down, the shoulders, arms, the ribs, on the back, the hips, all the bones in the legs and feet, just lying in front of you on the floor. And while you're watching the skeleton on the floor, slowly starts to fall apart. All the bones fall down to the ground. Start to break up. And breaking in smaller and smaller pieces over time. And eventually, it becomes dust. Small skeleton, just reduced to dust on the floor. in comes a gust of wind and takes up that dust, goes in all directions. Some of the dust falls in the water. Some of it in the forest and the fields. Scattered all around. And the dust becomes part of the soil. And on that soil grows grass. And along comes a cow that eats it. And all those little particles become part of the cow. And other particles fall in the water. And they take it downstream. And some animals might drink of it. And further down into the lake that's used for the water supply. And people might drink of it. Drink the milk of the cow. These little particles of your skeleton become part of somebody else's. Give life to somebody else. The mother suckling her baby. Those particles move to the baby who needs you to grow its own skeleton, bigger and bigger. And so the circle is closed again. Just reflect on all the creatures, the skeleton you're carrying. with wisdom and all those creatures still to come, whose skeleton will be built up out of yours. Wisdom use your skeleton with mental with loving kindness. When the time comes, you can take that mental with it. All those other creatures. The skeleton was never yours. It belonged to nature. It still belongs to nature. And will go back to nature. It wants to change. Constant flux. As we are coming near to the end of the meditation, just take a few minutes to reflect back. How did your mind react? Does it feel calmer now? What worked? What didn't work? Before we go to the cemetery, to walking meditation, or sitting meditation if you want to. I just want to tell you a few things. So you'll probably all have found a little card receipt. That's a gift from, say, the name Sabamita. And what it depicts, so in the first instance, you can see a Buddha statue, but if you look closer, there's something a bit odd about it. And it has a history. This Buddha statue was given by Ajahn Brahmali to the bhikkhunis in Aloka Vihara. And there it was for many years in a kuti. Until last year. And last year you might know that there was a large forest. Aloka Vihara is in the foothills of the Sierra Nevada. And there was a large forest fire, a caldera fire. And after weeks of burning, it also came to the monastery. And it destroyed part of the monastery, not the main building. Luckily, thanks to the firefighters, that was spared. But the kuti was destroyed, and in it was the Buddha statue. And it's, I believe, a bronze statue, and it was it melted for partly. So this is the symbol that everything changes, everything is anicca, everything perishes in the end. I myself have lived in Australia for a Sati Forest monastery, and after I was there for the first 5 days, we had to be evacuated because of the forest fire also. But the danger of these forest fires is always there, especially in forest monasteries, obviously. And 2 years ago, Paṭicca-samuppāda visited us here, and we had a retreat. And during that retreat, that same monastery was engulfed in fire. And again, thanks to the firefighters, the main building was spared, but all the trees in the forest were burned. And that's just the way it is. But I noticed in myself, and I think Paṭicca-samuppāda had the same reaction, that there was a slight attachment there. It's like, this is our monastery. This was the place where we lived. And there's only sometimes when you lose something, or when you think you're losing something, that you become aware of these attachments. So it's a good thing to also contemplate how far you are attached to these things, even though you might think that you're not. And it's also a reminder that death is all around, wherever we are. Maybe we don't have forest fires here. Last year we had big floodings here, and especially in the Idaho region, many people died, even here. Well, we thought we are high up here, but we're not so safe. And also in this building, this farm, it's an 18th century farm, used to belong to the castle chateau next door. This is white building. It was in the front line of the war in the Second World War, 77 years ago. The German soldiers lived in these buildings where we are all sleeping. The American soldiers in the chateau. You can see how close that was. This whole farm was bombed, and many of the soldiers died, and it's many of the soldiers who are in that cemetery that we're going to visit. And maybe we think, well, that's all before our time. But we never know. We've had 77 years of peace in this country. That's the longest ever in the whole history of Europe. This has never happened. So it's something to contemplate, that whatever we take for granted is not always going to be there. And it can change. And if we appreciate what we have right now in this moment, it's not something to be depressed about, but just to remember that, well, what we have right now is really special. And we should make the best of it and take care of it. So I suggest to have a little 10-minute break to go to the bathroom and then assemble in the courtyard and walk mindfully and in silence to the cemetery, where we can do some walking meditation and chant for the soldiers there. And we can also do sitting meditation if you want to bring a mat with you. So it's up to you, and you're also welcome to come back whenever you want to. Whenever you feel that's enough, it's quite hot, so there is some shade there. Let's see. And do take some water with you, or take some water in here. Okay, so see you down in